Let's talk to our friend, the best in the business, Hall of Famer on the court, Hall of Fame broadcaster. Most importantly, he's a Hall of Fame dude. He's our friend Charles Barkley, and he joins us on the CarX Tire and Auto Hotline. Chuck, how you feeling?
I'm good, man. Everything's good on my end. I mean, obviously, the playoffs are running with excitement right now. Really great time to be a sports fan. Stanley Cup playoffs are rolling right now. I mean, so man, I'm excited. Got some really good games tonight. I'm really looking forward to that Dallas game tonight. But it's fun right now.
Were you guys nervous at all when a lot of the name brand teams were out and some of the series didn't look good? Some of the star players were out, that this could be a dud of a postseason?
I never care about that stuff. I never care who wins. I ain't gonna lie. But I think I think people getting a chance to see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They're getting a chance to see Anthony Edwards. I mean, what Jalen Brunson is doing for the Knicks. And you see how, man, that Pacer team, man, I said going into when the playoffs, not the playoffs, when the trade deadline happened, I said the Mavs and the Pacers had the best trading deadlines, getting Siakam for the Pacers, but going out getting Gafford and P.J. Washington, they had the best trade line destinations ever. So, man, I love it. It's great. I don't care about the Lakers stink, my Suns stink, and the Warriors stink. I don't care about name brands. I'm not going to lie.
Chuck, did you believe that Jalen Brunson at some point would develop into this type of difference maker in this league?
Nobody thought that.
Yeah,
anybody tell you that, they thought they were lying. Yeah. There was some people, when they gave him that big contract, not sure about this move by the Knicks. But I think I said it earlier this year. It's been one of the best, and Kenny and Shaq laughed, and KD and those guys. I said not on the level with those guys. One of the best free agent signings of all time, and I mean that, one of the best free agent signings of all time.
Is watching him do what he's doing even more impressive than watching someone like Anthony Edwards, who's got significantly more athletic skill? But watching Jalen Brunson play the game of basketball has been fun for everybody.
Did we lose Chuck? Let's see if we could reconnect with Chuck. It's the cell phone seemed a little dicey. We'll reconnect with Charles Barkley.
It was the Chamber of Commerce in Galveston who's...
they disconnected it? Yeah.
I think that's who it was. It has been fun, though, watching Jalen Brunson do what he has done.
Not yesterday, though.
No, because
I was hoping for a better game yesterday.
He's dealing with, a bit of an injury now, and I thought it was really interesting. If you watched Get Up today, I think it was who was it had the information that his jump shot now, he's like an inch and a half.
Windhorse.
Windy had it, that like the rise in his jump shot is definitely affected, whether it's fatigue or it's the foot injury, and it's why more than likely he's been short on a lot of stuff recently.
Yeah, Chuck's back, so go ahead.
No, I was going to ask, Chuck, do you get more enjoyment out of watching a guy like Jalen Brunson do what he's doing versus a high flyer, great athlete like Anthony Edwards?
Well, that's like asking me to pick between two different pies, man.
They're both
Come
good.
on, man. They both good. I just think that Anthony has got so much talent, man. He's obviously one of the future superstars in this league. But what Brunson is doing, man, it just came out of nowhere. I mean, it's been flat out incredible to watch. It's been fun to watch. And it's just great. I just hope they got any energy left going forward with the injuries that they're starting to take in their toll. And you'd hate to see a series decided by injuries.
So you had a strong take I think it was yesterday on Tibbs, and you even cited Chicago. And if you know our show, Waddle and I love Tibbs. We have so much respect for Tibbs, but we always thought that he rode the guys too hot, and that the minutes in context is what bothered us. It wasn't all about the bottom line minutes. It was about, hey, there were times in games when he could have taken his foot off the gas. You had the take yesterday that you think Tibbs has rode his guys too hard here in the postseason. Is that how you still feel today?
100%. Because you think about it, first is a 2-1 game 2 for them, and Alex Burke has played well. So he could have been playing those guys 15 minutes a night just to give those guys a blow. If you watched that game yesterday, Brunson looked like he was on fumes. DiVincenzo, he ain't missed a shot in a month, and he couldn't make one yesterday. And Josh Hart, who's been playing the entire game, he had 3 points. Of course, there's a cumulative effect for a couple reasons. Number one, you're playing every other day, but the biggest difference is you're playing against a really good team in the playoffs. You know, there's no Atlanta, there's no Washington Wizards sprinkled in there, there's no Spurs sprinkled in there. So you have to play at a high level. And the biggest problem with the Knicks, I used this analogy last night about boxers. Man, all their games are on war. They don't ever have any blowouts. And there's a cumulative effect on boxers that's been proven. If you have a lot of wars, they catch up with you sooner than later.
Did you, I know you watch a lot of the shows on ESPN. Did you hear what Kendrick Perkins said about your take on Get Up this morning?
I did not.
Do you want me to summarize or do you want me to play it for you?
You can do either.
Okay, let me play. Here's Kendrick Perkins from Get Up this morning.
I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, what do you expect Tom Thibodeau to do, okay? You're missing Bogdanovich. You're missing OG Anunoby. You're missing Julius Randle. You're missing Mitchell Robinson. That's 4 key guys. I mean, what the hell is he supposed to do? I mean, he's giving Precious Achiuwa an opportunity to play. He went to Alex Burke. We seen McBride come in off the bench. That's just lazy, man. That's a lazy take, man. And again, you know, to each his own when it comes down to their opinion, and I get it, right? The world keep blaming Tibbs and saying, you know, he's playing these guys extended minutes or whatever the case may be. But in this case right here with the New York Knicks, who is he supposed to go to? He's supposed to suit you up, Greeny? I'm just asking. You want to play?
So that was Kendrick Perkins about your take.
Well, first of all, I'm not going to respond to that idiot who averaged 5 points a game. He's not on my level, and I don't have to respond to him. But it's interesting that you guys started the conversation saying that was the verdict on Tibbs in Chicago. Of course, we said the same thing in Chicago, and he's a hell of a coach, but he's doing the same thing in New York. But the point this fool need to realize is he didn't play those guys until those guys got hurt. He could have been playing them the whole time. That was the point that I'm making. Why didn't he play those guys sooner? The only reason he's playing those guys is because people got hurt. So
out of necessity instead of developing them.
Well, just giving them minutes. I mean, the Nuggets put somebody in their holiday last night, and he hadn't played in a minute. But listen, Kendrick, he's coming big fish hunting. But I'm going to just tell you this. I'm not going to argue with a guy who averaged 5 points a game. Come on, man. I am not going to do that. But like I say, if you guys thought the same thing in Chicago, and I think the same, I've said the same thing in Chicago, I said the same thing in New York. My point is, if he can play those guys now, why couldn't he play those guys before those guys got hurt?
Right. And some of this has to take place in the regular season, so you don't get to the postseason and everybody's on empty to begin with in a lot of ways.
Well, I mean, that's 100% true. But my question is, wait a minute. You only play these guys when guys get hurt. That makes zero sense. If they're good enough to play, first of all, everybody in the NBA is good enough to play. And I'm not saying playing a guy 35 minutes. You don't play your guys on the bench 35 minutes. But you give your starters a blow here or there. That's just common sense.
Is this the Pacers series to lose at this point, Chuck?
I've always thought this was a Pacers series. I thought that the fact that their depth, first of all, they're another example why you should play more players. The Pacers they're one of the deepest teams in the NBA. They play a legit 10 guys. They played 10 guys. So, you know, sooner or later it was going to catch up with them. Like I said, you factor in the injuries. I think the Pacers are in the driver's seat. But the one thing you got to realize, even if they get through this series, how much are they gonna have left for the Celtics? That's why this whole thing is so stupid. People talking about you only play 5 or 6 guys. That's not a recipe to get through the playoffs. We barely passed the first round of the playoffs, and we're only in Game 4 in the second round. If you think these guys gonna be able to play 48 minutes a night and get you to the championship, you're an idiot and a fool.
So, like you mentioned Edwards, you talked a little about Edwards. When people bring up the comp to Michael, how do you respond?
Please stop, man. First of all, he's had a good 2 weeks. He's had a good 2 weeks. First of all, we love Anthony Edwards. We love the mentality he has about I tell people now he has the Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant mentality. He out here trying to kill people, which I love. I love the fact that Michael and Kobe they out there trying to kill people. So I love that aspect of it. But he's only had a couple good 2 weeks. Let's don't compare him to the greatest player of all time. And let's get one thing straight. People forget when Michael was early, he was averaging like 38 points a game.
Right.
And then also when he went up against the Celtics, he put 60 on them. Like, he wasn't like Anthony, who's a hell of a player. He's getting like 30, 40. When Michael was playing against a team better than him, he's like, yeah, I'm going to try to beat y'all by myself. Now, I love this kid mentality, but I hate the people in sports. Like, let's just enjoy. The kid's like 22 years old. Let's enjoy him. We don't have to pair him to an all-time great. Let's stop doing that. He's won one playoff series, one. So let's don't compare him to the GOAT. That's lazy. Because you know who lazy? All these lightweight guys on TV who be trying to have the Michael LeBron debate. That's lazy. Because you know people going to call in and argue with you and things like that. Listen, the era Michael played in was tougher. Anybody think, listen, these kids today, they can't play against the bad boy Pistons. They can't play against the New York Knicks. They can't take them hard fouls. And no disrespect. It's kind of like, I use this analogy. I was talking to a football friend of mine. Tom Brady is the greatest football player ever. Quarterback, whatever. Then you got Joe Montana. You got Peyton Manning, Drew Brees. You know, in five years, their record's going to be irrelevant because, you know, they're throwing the ball 100 times a game now. And if anybody think these guys today, now I'm not talking about Pat Mahomes, no, I'm talking about some of these lesser guys. They're going to shatter every football record. And people are going to say, wait, that quarterback got better numbers than Peyton Manning and Drew Brees, and couldn't carry their jock. That's the only point I try to make. The game is just different.
We got a lot of Brady questions for you based on the roast from a week or so ago. But before we get there, Charles, what's been the difference in this series between the Nuggets and the T-Wolves? The T-Wolves' defensive effort in the first 2 games was unlike anything a lot of people have seen in quite some time. Is it just as simple as the Nuggets are making shots? They're 27 of 58 from the three-point line in the last 2 games.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there because they didn't play I watched the last. We had Game 4 last night, obviously, but I watched Game 3. They played. It's like they thought, well, this team is just going to pack it in now that we're back at home. They came out so lackadaisical in Game 3. It was kind of shocking to watch because that was not the same team that I saw in Games 1 and Game 2. And they've got to make an adjustment now. It might be too late because now Jamal has got his game going and Aaron Gordon's got his game going. But I was actually shocked watching them in Game 3. I was like, that's not the same team I saw in Game 1 and 2 in Minnesota. Yeah. So it was interesting to watch. But I have zero idea why they let up going home.
And really quick, Chuck, while we're on basketball, is there anything more mediocre than winning the first play-in game, losing the second play-in game, having the number 11 overall pick, not having your first-round pick next year, and basically not making a trade in over 30 months than the Chicago Bulls?
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're doing. It's kind of silly what they're doing. Like, they're just good enough to be in the playoffs, in the play-in, which ain't a real thing to me.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? Like, when I speak to general managers, when we're getting ready for March Madness, we're talking about different players and things like that. I said, what's your game plan? He's like, well, you got to get worse, but you can never be. Billy Cunningham, really a great mentor to me and a great coach. He was telling me this story about Red Auerbach. He says they were together having drinks and dinner. He says, Red, why did you draft Larry Bird and he's not going to play the next year? And he says, Billy, a year is like a week in the NBA. He says, we're not going to be any good until we get a great player. He says, but the one a year is a really short period of time. Because, think about this. When the basketball season ends, you're going to have 3 months, we're going to be back at it. And he ended up getting one of the greatest players ever. He took him when he couldn't even play. And I'm not sure what the Bulls are doing because they're not relevant with soccer. That's my second favorite city in the world. I want to see the Bulls do well. Even the Knicks, the NBA, man, when the Knicks are doing good, the NBA is great. I mean, that place is electric. Even if they're not a championship contender, when they're in the playoffs, it's still electric. Man, we need the Chicago Bulls to be relevant. And right now, they're not relevant, and it sucks.
Yeah.
We're not as overrated as New York, right? You had your New York rant the other day about, like, at least they have good bagels and pizza, but, like, we're not overrated like New York is a city.
You're the best. You're my second favorite city in the world.
Next to Toronto, I know.
After Toronto.
Which is the biggest BS.
Hey, you're the best summer city in the world, in my opinion. No place, obviously, with my man over at Chicago Cut, David Flom, you have the best restaurants in an area for any type of food you want. You got some of the best golf courses. You got water where you can go and be in the water. I do. I think Chicago is the best summer city in the world.
I thought you were talking about our drinking water there for a second, but you were talking about Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
Hey, let me tell you something. There's a lot of things Chuck do. Drinking a lot of water ain't one of them.
Charles, did you watch the Brady roast?
I have.
And your thoughts?
It was a roast. It was funny. It was crude. It was hilarious. But did some of the jokes were crude? Hell yeah. But it was a roast. I hear some people were offended, but when you go to a roast and you got Kevin Hart, and I forget the young lady's name.
Nikki
She's
Glaser.
Awesome. Yeah, Nikki Glaser. You got what were you expecting? So I thought it was hilarious. Did it cross the line? Yes, but it was a roast. It's supposed to cross the line.
I thought all of it. I mean, you're right. When you have a roast, this is what happens at a roast. I just left it. First of all, it was 3+ hours, which was long, even for a roast. But what Ben Affleck did left me a little bit weird. And Tom Brady, I thought he was the worst part of the entire event, Charles. I'm interested to hear how you felt Tom summed up the night at the end.
Well, Tom is a serious person. I'll say this. Him and Wayne Gretzky are the two nicest goats I've ever been around. They are normal. If they're in a room with you, you wouldn't even know they were the greatest to play their sport. I've been around both of those guys quite a bit. They're the two nicest goats I've ever been around. And so I got a lot of love and affection for those guys. But Tom is a serious guy. And I think that, a lot of those guys, they probably had their jokes written for them too.
Yeah.
But Tom is just a serious guy. I give him a lot of credit for getting beat to death, basically, is what happened to him. Everybody took some shots.
Yeah.
At other people, too. But you know what? I thought it was funny. And like I say, was it crude at times? 100%. But, hey, man, that's what you can't get that type of superstar talent together and not entertain people. If you're going to have Kevin Hart and Nikki Glaser, Bob Kraft, Gronk, and Brady and Affleck and all these people. If you do a boring roast, you're going to get killed the other way.
Sure. Have you ever been roasted? Have you ever had a roast?
I have. I did a couple charity roasts, to be honest with you. I got killed. I did one when I was with the 76ers. You know, I picked out a couple charities. I did one when I was in Phoenix. They're a great way to raise money. And I heard through the grapevine, I think Tom Brady got like $25 million to do that. Hey, if somebody give me $25 million, they can say any damn thing they want to about me.
All right, so
you
would do it on Netflix. If they called you and they said, we want you to be next, you would do it.
If they came with me with $25 million, you damn Skippy, I'd to go right to yeah.
All right, now we know you like to gamble. If you had to gamble on this and they wanted to do the next guy, who do you believe they're, like you said, big game hunting last when you were talking about Perkins. Who do you believe they're going big game hunting for? Do you think it could be like LeBron?
Could be Chuck.
Oh, hey, look, LeBron, he can't handle that at all. Hell no.
And Michael can't handle that either, right?
Hell no.
Who can?
No, hell no.
Who
Can handle it that's big enough that would be interesting enough to watch it in the sports world?
I think Dennis Rodman would be great. I think Dennis would be great. You know, I love Dennis, but we could kill Dennis. It'd be hilarious.
Shaq?
I mean, Shaq can't handle it either.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, he got some thin skin. He can't handle it.
By the way, did you see Shaq is feuding with Shannon Sharp on Instagram?
I know. That's part of the thin skin thing. I told him to let it go. He's like, I'm not letting anything go. I'm not letting anything go. So, no, he can't handle the roast.
But what made you, by the way, join Instagram? You said social media is for idiots.
It is. It is. And I mean that if you only on there talking negative all the time, you are an idiot and a fool. Hey, your life sucked because of you. It's not because some celebrity or some person you want to take shots at. But the reason I got involved, you know, I bought a distillery in Alabama, and I do vodka and gin. And I just wanted to bring some awareness to my vodka and gin company. You know, I like to invest in Alabama because that's where I grew up. So I bought a vodka and gin distillery. And Dana White is the person who I asked for financial advice and things like that. He says, the number one way to attract attention to your vodka gin is on social media. So Dana has been giving me advice because, you know, he has a liquor and obviously he's a great businessman. So that's the only reason I got on social media to help my vodka gin business.
Okay. All right.
Hey, Chuck, to segue to a more serious conversation, what can you tell us about the future of inside the NBA and what direction you think it's all headed?
Yeah, that's a great question. I wish I had any damn idea. You know, we're in a bidding war with NBC. You know, they've already signed their package with ESPN. They've already signed their package with Amazon. And it's down to one piece of the puzzle between us and NBC. And I think the last we've heard is right around $2.5 billion. And we have zero idea what's going to happen. We might lose it. I mean, I feel so bad for the people I work with. I mean, it is brutal. I mean, it is flat out brutal. Everybody's scared to death because, you know, this is the first time we have not signed it in that exclusive window. There's always like a year window where I've been there for 24 years. Ernie's been there for 35 and Kenneth's been there for like 27, I think. This is the first time it actually came up for actual bidding. Because, you know, we have an exclusive, but this is the first time during the exclusive window we did not re-sign in advance. So I will tell you this, it's very stressful for the people I work with. And I wish I could give you an answer. We might lose it. And I don't know. It's 50-50 that we lose our part to NBC, but we have no Adam Silver's going to ultimately make the final decision. Am I concerned? 100%. Because as much as we have been partners with the NBA for, I think, 40 years, you would think if it was close in a bidding war, we would get the benefit of the doubt. But clearly that's not happening. So to answer your question, they're scared to death over here right now. I feel so bad for the people I work with.
If TNT doesn't get it, if Turner doesn't get it, would you go with NBC, or would you try and is there a way to keep the show together with a streaming partner? Because I know Ernie's saying he's staying no matter what. Is there a way to keep what you guys do together and not ruin the one of the best shows in the history of sports television?
Yeah, I don't think it's a way they can keep us together, to be honest with you, because we wouldn't have anything to talk about, and that's real. I mean, Ernie would say, because he does golf and things like that, and so me, Shaq, and Kenny would be in a really awkward situation. I don't know what's going to happen. That's the thing that's scary. I'm not, like I say, all three of us are financially set. We ain't worried about a job, to be honest with you. I feel bad for the people I work with, but they're not going to, there wouldn't be a reason to keep us because we wouldn't have anything to broadcast. Hey, I'm a hockey fan. I don't know anything about hockey. I'm a baseball fan. I don't know anything about baseball. I'm a football fan. I'm not stupid enough to think I know football. I love football. I love betting on football, but I'm an amateur at the knowledge. But it's a really uncomfortable situation, to be honest with you. It's uncomfortable because it's never gotten to this point before.
Charles, I mean, you'd be a free agent, right? So if you wanted to, you could sign with NBC and continue to work, or would you just say, you know what, I'm done and I want to walk away and do something else? Well,
one of the things I put in my contract when I signed the 10-year deal, I'm in year 2 of a 10-year deal. One thing I specifically put in my contract that if we lost the NBA, I could be a free agent. So that's why I say I'm not worried about myself. But I specifically put in my contract that I wanted to be a free agent if we lost the NBA. So to answer your question, I would be a free agent. And it'd be interesting because I have talked to all three companies. So I'm going to have to make a decision, unfortunately, if it came to that.
Now, we talked to our boss, Danny Zetterman. He has a blank check in his office, and he said if that would happen, that he would want you to pair with us and make this a 3-man booth. Do you have any interest?
Well, you guys don't have to come up with some paper.
It's a blank check.
I don't think Danny knows how to write enough zeros on it.
It's literally blank, Chuck. That's what he means by that. There's no dollar amount on it. And did we lose?
I think you ran him off. I think that's a no. I think this is a great way to say goodbye.
Perfect.
Yeah. That was his answer.
There you are. Did I scare you with that?
No, man, my service just sucks in my condo in Atlanta.
We can get you a new phone. We can get you a new phone.
Well, I'm gonna ride this T-Mobile. I'm gonna ride this T-Mobile train till it runs out. I love T-Mobile. My boy Mike Belcher. When T-Mobile fired me, they let me keep the phone. Hey, I say I love T-Mobile, so we're good to go. But to get back to your question, man, I have zero idea what's going to happen. But I will say this: if something happens, I'll be in a very good situation.
Right. Is there a place you wouldn't go?
Well, I think the main thing I would have to figure out, because I don't know where the stations are going to be. So I don't know where NBC is going to be. It'll probably be in New York. I have zero idea where Amazon is going to be. And I don't know how the ESPN thing would work because I'm not leaving sunshine in Arizona to go to the cold-ass East. Now, that's not going to happen under any circumstances.
Yeah.
Charles, before we let you go, we have to ask you your thoughts on our Bears team that drafted Caleb Williams first overall, got ourselves a very good receiver at 9 as well.
Well, Odunze was my favorite player watching last year, living in Arizona. Caleb, I got to watch him play. I'm excited for his future. But my favorite player was Odunze. You know, I watched him a couple times. I was like, man, that dude looks big and strong, and he's got a great ball awareness.
Yep.
And so great job by y'all recruiting guys. His name is Pate. Yeah. And y'all got my boy Kevin Warren there now, too.
Yes, Kevin Warren.
So
you know him well?
I think I do. We text a lot. I'm really happy that he is there now. But, man, I'm really happy for him and Ryan. Y'all think, Caleb was obviously the number one guy on the board. But when I text Kevin, when y'all got Odunze, because like I say, I got to see him play probably more than a lot of people living in Arizona. And I'm like, man, y'all got a stud wide receiver because I knew it was going to come. Yeah, because it was going to come down to Harrison Jr. and Neighbors. And then I couldn't believe. I said, man, these other teams, they're going to let this kid go down. And I said, man, I text Kevin immediately. Great job, man. Great job.
Charles, what would you say to all of the people out there that leading up to the draft were concerned that Caleb Williams' personality is different than a lot of others?
Well, first of all, he's a 20-year-old college kid. We don't know anything about his personality. I mean, we don't. Listen, I always tell people this. Everybody's an ass in high school and college until you grow up. To judge anybody, I don't think anybody, you two guys included, for people's like, please don't judge me by the stupid stuff I did in high school and college.
Oh, yeah.
And now we're trying to judge a kid like, wait a minute, the kid's nice. Nobody wants to be judged by stuff they did in high school and college. So I never go by that. But I think it's important going to a good organization. I think the Bears got a good organization. Now you got to get good coaching, and then everything will handle itself. I think good coaching and good organizations, I think they're really important. I do. I think they're really important.
And you look great. Being a grandpa, I know is something that you love. Other than work, it looks like everything's going pretty well for you.
Yeah, man, little Henry is just turned 2, and little Charlie, she just turned 1. Being a grandpa is the greatest thing ever. Now that my little man can talk, man, that's the greatest. When he calls me, my daughter says, hey, Dad, somebody want to talk to you. And he FaceTimes me and says, hey, Big Pop, where you at? And I oh, my God. Every time he says Big Pop, my heart drops. And, like, he'll just call Big Pop, I just want to say hello. I said, hey, how you doing, little man? He says, Big Pop, I ain't doing nothing. He said, I went to the beach today, and I'm telling y'all, every time he calls me Big Pop, it melts my heart. So that's going good. Like I say, hey, I ain't totally stressed. I'm stressed for the people who work here because they're going to lose their jobs. But, man, I'm ready. I'm ready for the playoffs to be over because, you know, Chuck ain't doing nothing but playing golf every day and fishing. hey, there's nobody in the world better at doing nothing than me.
That's great.
That's awesome.
That's good that you're good at that. You're the best. Thanks for everything. And if we don't talk soon, have a great summer, okay?
Thanks, Charles.
Thank you, brothers. Y'all be safe. I appreciate y'all always taking care of me, man. Love you guys. Be safe.